Welcome to Networking Arizona with host Carol Blonder. You'll hear interviews with businesses located throughout the valley. Networking, it makes a difference.
If I traded it.
So welcome to the show, everyone. As all of you know, I made it possible for people to talk about themselves on the radio. So if you want to get yourself heard on the show, just give us a call here. 602-277-5369 will get you hooked up with me so you get yourself heard on Networking Arizona next year. I'm going to go right in with networking. I'm real excited today. A lot of newbies today, everybody, so listen up. My first guest is Jim Riner, and he is a criminal family law attorney, he's with Weiss Riner Law. Welcome to the show. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and about the firm and what we're going to talk about today.
Well, thank you, Carol. Thank you for having me. I'm Jim Riner. The law firm is Weiss Riner Law. We're in Scottsdale. We focus on family law, and I also provide holistic approach with family law, criminal, and juvenile as well, because rarely does family law exist on its own. Almost always somebody gets into some kind of trouble, whether deserved or not, and it affects their overall case.
Sure. Now, I've never really heard the word holistic used with law, so what does that mean?
For example, let's assume you have a married couple and he's got a minor drinking issue. Wife has always been very onto him about it. Their marriage might be strained or even on the rocks. And he decides to go to the pub, has a few too many drinks, gets pulled over, has a maybe not even extreme DUI, just a DUI. Wife decides that's it. She changes the locks in the house, files for divorce. He's not going to be seeing his kids anytime soon. That DUI can be used against him in family law court if he pleads guilty to the DUI or is found guilty of the DUI or doesn't have some attorney that understands that just your criminal approach might get something solved quick, but it's going to tank your family law case.
Sure. Well, this is interesting. I'm excited to talk about this because, DUI, you think that it's easy. You get a DUI, okay, it's easy to get here in Arizona.
It is.
But also it can affect your life, your marriage, your family. Yep. So this is interesting. Okay, now I want to get some things out. First of all, you are located in Scottsdale, but you can help anyone from anywhere.
Correct. We have an office in Scottsdale near Fashion Square. We also have another office in Tempe on Mill.
Okay. You also do free 15-minute phone
yes, we
consultations?
Do. Yes.
Okay. And your website, so you can look it up while we're talking, it is Weiss, WEISS hyphen, Riner is spelled RINER.com.
RinerLaw.com.
Riner Law. So it's Riner Law, RINER Law.com. And the number to call them is 602-357-0910. Here's the thing. I know a lot of people out there, it's getting at that time. They're all having parties. They're drinking. They're having fun. They're fighting, but they're holding off on that. Because the holidays are right here. They want to. So let's talk a little bit about what you're going to talk about today. You hear a lot about DUIs. Don't drink and drive, obviously. What don't you hear about this time of year with the divorce and all of this kind of stuff? Let's talk about what you want to talk about.
Well, the signs on the highway and ads and public service announcements talk about don't drink and drive. And there's a really good reason for it, because people die. What you don't hear about is the other percentage, the majority of people that look in the rearview mirror and see a blue light special coming up behind them, and they had a few beers. That will very much change your life. In Arizona, a standard DUI, no priors, that is a misdemeanor 1. They range from 0.08 or below. It probably is going to cost you, without an attorney, something in the $2,000 to $3,000 range, just in fees, fines, costs, likely a couple days in jail, with 2 or 3 or more suspended. Then it goes up. Something in the extreme range above 0.08 but below 0.18 is going to be cost-wise and fees and fines somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000 as much.
So the more you drink, the higher the fees.
You got it. And the higher you go, the more expensive it is, and your jail time will increase. At extreme DUI, you can expect to spend probably somewhere between 1 to 2 weeks in jail. That means in jail. Assuming you didn't have any other DUIs. And in Arizona, a DUI in the last 7 years is called an aggravating circumstance. So you could have had a 0.08 and just pled it out, got rid of it, prayed you don't do it again. Your wife gives you a second chance. And I say wife because most often it's men that do this. Men tend to misunderstand what their body can really get rid of in terms of alcohol. Plus, we tend to be a little dumb at times to do drinking games.
Everybody is sometimes when we're drinking.
Exactly. So it happens a second time within that 7 years. It's aggravating. You can be looking at, depending upon the circumstances, a felony. And I guarantee you that if you had agreements with your wife and you're in counseling or otherwise about not drinking and especially driving, then you're going to be looking at a minimum of separation and probably divorce.
Now, here's the thing. Okay, the parties are upon us, and we want you to be careful out there. But I want you to put the phone number in your phone. See, that's the thing I think is really important when you guys come on around this time, especially because everybody's partying. And one of the things that I like to say for you, because I'm going to bring it up, this is how smart you'll see I am, but is that people out there that are driving out there that are going to those parties that are bringing their kids.
Yes.
They've had maybe one drink, right. But they might not even be that impaired, but it's a zero tolerance here. If you've got a kid under the age of what?
Under the age of 18.
It's what?
Any minor. It's going to be a felony.
It's a felony.
It's endangerment.
So don't take your kids to the parties or don't drink, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So it's a very, very, that's why I really love when you guys come on around now, because it's really educational for the people that are listening. We tell you not to drink and drive. Obviously, we don't want you to, but we do know that we do. And we don't know how much could be to be the one that gets you popped. So let me give out the phone number and put it in your phone. It's 602-357-0910. It's Weiss, WEISS Riner Law, RINER Law.com. And again, it may not be you, but it may be your son or your daughter or someone you know. We all know someone who's gotten in trouble with this.
Oh, yeah.
And so the information is not just for you, but for someone you know as well. Okay, so what is the most common mistake that people make, regarding DUIs?
Well, you have choices in Arizona. If you get pulled over for a DUI, and this is important for people to understand and why you get an attorney, is that when I meet and consult with a DUI client, it's about a 2-hour meeting and 23 questions we go through to figure out, was the stop legitimate? Was it legal? When you get stopped, you should cooperate. And you have to know that if you don't do the breathalyzer test, what they call a PBT, the little black thing you blow in, they can suspend your license immediately. If you agree and they do the PBT and they find that you're over the limit, you'll be able to drive for about 20 days. You'll get a notice, you'll get a permit, and you can drive, but then your license will be suspended by the MVD. The MVD and the court system are two different things. You can fight with the MVD all day long. Until this thing goes away with the courts, you're not going to have much redress with the MVD. So that's one. Decide whether or not you're going to cooperate. If you do, maybe good, maybe bad. If you then go and you do what's called field sobriety tests, where they one-legged stand, turn, and walk, all that stuff, if they do it all right and they get a search warrant to draw your blood, if you don't consent, they're going to draw your blood. What different municipalities do is some won't even test your blood. They wait until you go to trial, and then they'll do a delay and test. Some, and many of them do, but there's about a 3 to 4 month wait to get that done. It's a real problem. You have to decide what you want to do when you are stopped. If you choose no PBT, you choose not to let them draw blood and they force it, it is possible that you will have some traction in suppression of evidence later. But it really depends. I mean, how much did you drink? When did you drink? Did you just use mouthwash, which has alcohol in it? That will skew these portable breathalyzers, which are really inaccurate.
We're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk further. Don't use mouthwash. You think you're going to you fool them. It's not a really good idea. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk further about what you can do to help them if this happens. If it's not you or someone you know, put the phone number in your phone. It is 602-357-0910. The website is Weiss, WEISS Riner, RINER Law.com. We'll be back in just a minute.
if I traded it all.
So welcome back.
If I
So we're talking with Jim Riner, and he's a criminal and family law attorney, and he does do free 15-minute free consultations. They're located they have an office in Scottsdale. You said an office in Tempe as well, but he can help anyone from anywhere. It's the holidays, and you know me, everybody that listens to this show a lot, I like to make sure that people are listening up when it comes to this time of the year, especially because a lot of people can get themselves popped and in trouble. And it could be the littlest amount. It doesn't really matter because it's zero tolerance, right?
Correct.
So put the number in your phone. It is 602-357-0910. Before we went on a break, and I know it goes by so fast, but seriously, there's something that's important that also people should know is about the counties, and it's different in different areas, right?
Well, the treatment of things like family law and DUI, et cetera, is state-based. So the rules are equal throughout.
Okay.
It's what are you going to be handed or how are you going to be treated in different counties.
Oh, okay.
Pima, for example, around Tucson, has a habit of just doing blood draws without consent.
How do they do that? They grab your arm and say, here you go?
They just bet that you're not going to try and suppress it later. They're going to say they had reasonable suspicion or reasonable cause. In Maricopa, Sheriff Joe with his checkpoints and some of the other stuff that goes on. So it really depends on where you are and how intense, but more importantly, when the stop is made is where it varies greatly. And you need an attorney. But please, whoever is listening, whether you hire us or who, please get an attorney. It is worth it to you to do so. You will spend far more both in prison and in fees than without.
Right. You don't know the laws.
No, you don't. And prosecutors treat attorneys differently than people who aren't represented. But 80-90% of the people are unrepresented. They don't get an attorney. So they wind up with something that cannot be fixed later. And when that happens, you have to look at what's going to happen to your family. You may be already divorced. You may already have a family law order that says what your parenting time is and legal decision making. That DUI can be used against you to change it.
And you know they're going to use it against you because they're mad at you already.
Yes. And rare is it, unfortunately, that divorced people get along.
Exactly.
So if you're unfortunately being hit with a divorce and your DUI and other issues, you need to have a representation that understands how to manage your criminal case, and DUI is criminal, and your family law case, which is civil. So the family law case, the judge can find that you are an alcoholic with no criminal conviction. And the criminal conviction can absolutely be used and will be used against you in the civil case, your divorce case. It will affect when you see your children, how you see your children, the child support you pay, spousal support if necessary, distribution of debts and assets, that kind of stuff. It's when you go and drink and drive, look in the rearview mirror, and if you have children, wife, family, you need to think about them, not just maybe I won't get caught, maybe it won't affect them, because it does. And I would be happy to be in a different line of business where I didn't have to help as many people as I help today.
Right.
It can be very tragic, but when you think about it, you get in your car, if you're driving and you look in the rearview mirror and you see blue lights behind you, the first thing you should be thinking about is your wife, your family, your husband, your kids, your job. Many employers will have no problem not asking you to return if you get a DUI.
Well, we got Uber, but there's so many people out there, no matter what, it happens all the time. It just does. I mean, we think that we can do it, and it's just not a good idea, but that's where you come in.
Absolutely.
And how long have you been doing this, by the way?
4 years.
So you're doing it 4 years now, and they've got 2 locations. One is in Scottsdale, the other one is in Tucson. They do free 15-minute consultations. The website is Weiss, Weiss Riner Law.com, and it's RINER. And the phone number, again, put it in your phone, 602-357-0910. Going over here to the domestic part of it. There's a lot that happens when people get, they're drinking. Because you get people when they drink, they're not always, you'd think they'd be funny.
They're not always happy.
They're not.
No.
Go ahead.
And if you've got marital strife Whether you're a same-sex couple or opposite-sex couple, it doesn't matter. Your rights are the same, and unfortunately, what can be used against you is the same. So when you're even if you're a single parent and you get a DUI, the state DCS can find that you're not taking care of your kids, or if your children were in the car and you get stopped and get a DUI, even a .08. They can take your kids away. They can start a dependency, and it is unfortunate, but some of my work is in dependency and termination based on those kinds of facts. And that goes into and part of the family law case or trying to keep your kids and have the state not take them.
Now, am I not correct that if someone is in domestic violence, and I'm not just sure if it's just here or anywhere now, one's going to jail?
It's possible that one or both or maybe none. But domestic violence, our firm deals at large with drug and alcohol abuse, domestic violence, criminal issues, all wrapped up in family law issues and or criminal stuff. But domestic violence here, if you get a DV charge against you, like an order of protection, somebody can go and claim that you harassed me, we used to be married, or we used to live together. That's an order of protection. And if you request a hearing, please have an attorney. You get one shot at that hearing. If you do not make your case at that hearing to quash it, means dismiss that order of protection, you will have a charge of domestic violence against you that will be used in your family law case. And you will lose your gun rights. There's a Brady indicator which says if you own guns, you got to turn them in for the length of that order of protection, which is a year. So you have a lot to lose. Orders of protection, it's not often. It's pretty uncommon, but they can include the children of the marriage. So if you were, say, a wife has a few glasses of wine, she's driving home, picks up the kids, gets stopped, she can get arrested for a DUI. She will be charged with endangerment, likely, not guaranteed, but very likely. And the husband can file for divorce, get an order of protection with the children on it, and she will not be seeing her house, her husband, her children, any of her belongings for at least a year. If she fights it and gets it overturned, then it goes away. But there are times when you don't want to fight that, when it's better to leave it alone, not get a finding of domestic violence, and go ahead with your family law case. But that's why I do, and our firm does what we do, is because we know how to balance those types of domestic violence, criminal, and or family law issues to have the best outcome for everyone, especially the children.
Well, I'll tell you something. It's incredible. I can listen to you all day because realistically, it's very intricate.
It is.
That's why you need an attorney. You can't do it on your own. And do people really try and do these things on their own?
Yes.
I'd be so scared.
A lot of our, probably 60-70% of our family law specific divorce stuff is what they call post-decree. That means they did it on their own, and now they want to make changes. And they screwed it up. The courts screw it up all the time. They do wacky parenting plans, or they do other stuff that's ambiguous. It's way more costly after the fact than it is to do it right the first time.
What about children? What about for juvenile law? Because they get in trouble too. They're drinking underage.
And those we don't generally get a lot of.
Okay.
We generally,
that's good to know.
Yeah, when I get, for example,
it's all
DUI.
us adults out there.
Exactly. And it's not just DUI with alcohol, by the way. I have to tell people we have medical marijuana here. Do not smoke and drive within however many hours it takes for that THC to be metabolized out. Because our kids go and smoke a joint and then drive a car, and they're a minor. That's some of what I do. It's not very often, thankfully. But what happens in juvenile law, where I spend most of my time, are dependencies and terminations. And that is the parent did something like endangered her kids when she was driving, or the dad did that, or had a gun in the car. We're an open carry state. You could be DUI with a gun in the car and kids that are unbuckled. You will likely spend several days in jail, likely wind up, especially if it's county, with at least one, if not 2 or 3 felony charges. and they're typically felony 4s and felonies 5s, or even felony 3s. Very serious charges. You will spend prison time.
I'll tell you, this is great information. And the real thing is that everybody really needs to be careful out there.
Yeah.
But we know what happens. We all want to drink. I don't care if you're at home and you're drinking. These are the things that can happen to you. And you're here to be able to help them. You're here to give them this information.
Absolutely.
Again, we want you to put that number in your phone. It's 602-357-0910. What would be your final words for today for everybody?
Go out, have fun, don't drink, don't smoke your medical marijuana, and drive. Uber, or the other one. There's two or three. Lyft. We have Uber and Lyft. You never had that before. It's been only the last few years. Use them.
Right.
It's far less costly. You will spend an initial retainer for a bad DUI is probably $5,000 to $6,000. So it's a lot cheaper to spend $50-$60.
And also, if it's not you and it's someone you know, maybe it's our child that got into something or someone we know,
Call
please
as soon as possible.
give them the number. I'm giving out the number right now. It's 602-357-0910. They do free 15-minute consultations. They've got 2 locations, Scottsdale and Tempe. Again, that number, 602-357-0910.